Some bad movies, you're genuinely angry. Some bad movies, you're delighted. Some bad movies, you just want to give up. Some bad movies, you actually feel kind of shitty for giving them a negative review. This is one of them. All right, do the thing. Slightly different this time, but let's do the thing.
What the actual dog shit fuck was that? Oh, also remember.
Hold on. Okay, so whatever.
Fuck you!
It's the Angry Grant Show, everybody. Is it Oscar season yet? Please give me Oscar season now. Can we get out of the doldrums again? God damn it. Alright, let's just get this over with. We're here to talk about a movie, movies and TVs who we do here, and that movie is Shelter in Solitude. Shelter in Solitude is directed by I'm gonna butcher this name, I apologize. Vivek Moisea? I hope I'm saying Vivek Moisea. And it is written by and starring Saban Fallon Hogan. So what, terrific character actress. So what is the film about? Well, it's about Valerie. She is a former. She's living in the South. It's during the onset of COVID, the COVID pandemic. She's a singer, kind of washed up singer, and she gets a job working as a guard at a prison whose warden is her brother, Robert Patrick. And she strikes up a friendship with a prisoner who is literally days away from execution, played by Peter Mackin of the Orville fame. And through this friendship, she tries to better herself and eventually discovers the truth of why he's there and hopes to rescue him and fuck the plot. Look, there are two modes to Shelter in Solitude. Now, I want to make this clear because this is the kind of movie that's small enough that there is a very likely chance that the filmmakers might be watching this. I was genuinely surprised when my Bling Ring review actually got a shout out from one of the main subjects from it. So I want to point this out. I do not blame Saban Fallon Hogan for this movie, even though she wrote it and starred in it. I think that she went into this with the true best intentions. This is a well-intentioned movie. It's an earnest movie. And in just about every way, it is a miserable failure. Really, filmmaking-wise, editing-wise, music-wise, pacing-wise, acting-wise, screenwriting-wise, story structure-wise, lighting-wise, every way a movie can be wrong, this movie is. If we're talking things that should not be in a movie theater, things that if anything, I should be watching on Tubi, this is that movie. This is so badly made that it actually hurts the intentions of this movie. I feel like this idea, better executed, could be just fine as an uplifting Southern drama. It's not that movie because structurally nothing really makes sense. Okay, she casts at least one of her kids in this movie. Her son plays the cop, who's this young cop. I am sorry, this kid can't act. He goes in every scene like this. And give it to her, Saban Fallon Hogan, she really tries. I mean, she's a good actor. For those who don't know who Saban Fallon Hogan is, in the movie Holes, she plays Stanley Yelnats' mom. She's been among many other things. She was also in Charlotte's Web. She's popped up in a lot of stuff. Also, she was Fred's mom in the Fred movie, Fred Figglehorn. She plays all sorts of roles. So she is doing fine in this, I guess. But the character played by her son, they'll have a scene where he does every line like this with a southern accent all the time. He sounds like he's either stoned or drunk in every single scene. And there's a character in this who starts out kind of implied to be a much younger love interest to the Valerie character, who sings with her and even kind of touchy-feely. He's like, you kind of get intimate or whatever. And then, like, the next time she talks to her, well, not only does he rob her, but then the next time he talks to her, he basically calls her a piece of shit who is, like, untalented on the phone in front of these other girls out of nowhere with no context of just, like, literally, it's like the script said, and suddenly he turns into a douchebag. Like, with no setup, nothing. It's just like, a big-lipped alligator moment of epic proportions. And it really doesn't come back into play again. The first half of this movie really has nothing to do with her and the prisoner. It takes so long to get to that point. It starts out being like a really, really oddly paced episode of like Reba for the first like hour of this movie. There's a lot of fake sounding southern accents. There's a lot of really bad music. Not just songs, but like the score is really stock music-y. And the reason you can kind of tell is it does that thing of like when the music stops and the scene goes to the next, you can practically hear the song going off so the dialogue can come on. It's a really weird thing that keeps happening. Also, there's a lot of scenes where lines are repeated for no reason to the point where you think the movie is skipping. Like, there's a scene, they'll say something like, just for no reason, we'll go like, I have some food for you, sir. I have some food for you, sir. And it's like, okay, we got that. Like for no reason. There's scenes where there will be just long gaps where it's almost like you can see the actors trying to remember their lines. Like, there's like long gaps where someone will say like, I need to borrow $200. You know, if I had it, I'd give it to you. How much did he take? I'll give you the $200. It's like that kind of thing. It's really odd how much, and like the sound will cut out too when there'd be like no. It's really bizarre that this was in the theater. And now I'm gonna spoil something, and it's the only real spoiler I'm gonna use. But there's also this weird. Before I get to that, there's weird comic moments too that make no sense. Like, as a distraction. Also, at first I thought this movie was gonna be some like, because it is somewhat faith-based, and not really. It's not like a pure flicksy, but there's like a faith-based element in the movie. I thought this was going to be an anti-mask movie, but what I appreciated is that at first there are characters who say things like the Wuhan flu and are using that kind of rhetoric, but those characters are portrayed at that point in the movie to not be in the right. So I kind of forgave it because I'm like, okay, as the movie goes on, they are taking this seriously. It's not like it's a pulpit for them to spread any kind of rhetoric. So I appreciate that. So that was fine, because my heart sank a little bit. I'm like, oh god, is this whole movie going to be about masks? And it's not. It's really not. I mean, there are moments where they kind of bring that up. That's neither here nor there. But the movie really does, and the reason I feel bad about, despite all these problems, is there's also some really crass jokes for a movie they say shit a lot, and they don't never say the word fuck, but they say effed up, like actually say it spoken that way, like I effed up. Not I fucked up, I effed up. So it's really odd. But then there's like a joke where she makes it, and it's a bit that goes on a while, about she's trying to convince the cop guy, the one who's not a very good actor, about trying to get through to go to the jail when the town is locked down. And she says she makes up this whole cockamamie thing about how she needs to go help take care of like a sick 90-year-old woman. And he asks her like what the sickness is, and she says syphilis. And then he mentions like, oh, and she got it when she was 85. And the bit goes on forever, like, wow, 85 and she got syphilis, and she's in her 90s and she still has syphilis. Oh, funny. Old woman has STD. Funny. And it's like, you go tell that old freak, whatever. He literally says that, like, something to that extent, where he's like, I'm very lightly paraphrasing this. You go in there and you get that medicine to that old freak. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why is it there? And it goes on for like a good 5 minutes. And it doesn't make any sense to be there. The movie also is only 90 minutes. It's really short. So like, why was that there? It feels really come from another movie. And that's like later on when things are getting more serious. And then at the end of the last kind of 20 minutes of the movie or so, she finally finds out why her friend is there in jail on death row. And it is also kind of a white savior movie in a lot of ways. They do portray the prisoner is a black man, and they portray the character as kind of big and quiet and scowly and not very much of a character, kind of quiet and meek, which is kind of outdated and kind of antiquated. And it's 2023. Let's stop that shit. Especially knowing what we know now about movies that have gotten acclaim like The Blind Side. Like, can we not do that anymore? That's such an outdated stereotype at this point. But we find out that he had essentially, he killed a man because the man was going to rape his daughter. Like, there's a scene where trigger warning, I guess, where they mention that he killed him with a broken beer bottle. Like, he stabbed or broken wine bottle, I think, multiple times. And he did it because he said, and I quote, and you see the flashback, kind of poorly shot, hazy-looking flashback, where it was his ex-wife's boyfriend who was like a drifter. She was like an addict, and he took the daughter home, and when she was in the shower, he got in the shower and like climbed on top, tried to molest her in the shower when she was like a teenager, and he intervened and in just a blind rage of trying to save his daughter, killed the man, stabbed him multiple times. Okay, whatever. But that is a justified reason that you shouldn't be executed for that. Guess what happens? You want to know how this movie ends? Okay, spoiler alert. They really drag it out. And first and foremost, there's a scene where she just shows up in her friend's house out of nowhere in the middle, right after having to. Also, there are scenes that kind of repeat, where there's sort of the same kinds of scenes with different characters. So, like, she's talking to her warden brother about whose hands are tied in dealing with the situation for some reason. Then she goes to talk to her friend in person that she's been on the phone with throughout this whole movie about, she just appears in her basement. Like, she goes downstairs and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "Why are you getting mad at me when a man's life is on the line?" And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? You're in this woman's house. It just looks so weird. And then she leaves. Okay, whatever. She leaves. All these people, they make you think everything's gonna, work out maybe. They go, she prays to them. He goes into the room. He's in the electric chair. He's strapped in. They show the whole painstaking process. And then he looks out into the audience, the people viewing the execution, and it's his daughter who he has not seen in several years. And they have this moment of realization. They put the bag over his head. The last shot is our hero. You see the lights flickering, and you hear the sound of the electricity going through him, and it's a shot of her lying in his cell crying, clutching like his coat, or it's either like his coat or his blanket, and just sobbing, and then it cuts to the lights fixing the empty hallway, fade out. So at the last second, they do a downer ending that they totally don't earn, where he gets executed anyway, and she's just left miserable. This movie kind of falls into the same category, into the idea of what Roger Ebert used to say about when people use the term depressing to describe a movie, where he says no good movie can be depressing because it emotionally engages you. The only way a movie can truly be depressing is if it's bad. If it's not only it's bleak, but it's bad at being bleak. So that being said, this is a depressing movie, and I mean that genuinely. This is depressing and it's inept. And it frustrated the hell out of me because I do think that the intentions of the makers are genuine. I just feel like this really was a failure. I don't know who was responsible for it ending up this way, but it ended up this way. And it's really a shame because unlike something like The Exorcist, the shitter, which had resources and had good technical qualities to it, but was like morally ugly and reprehensible. This movie had good intentions, and that's what it had going for it, and everything else was a failure. It's kind of bizarre, so I can't even really be angry at this movie. I'm just really I feel bad for this movie because it feels like it was set up to not work the way that it in its finished form, it is not workable. It's just the way that it is as it is. It's there's nothing about it that actually works at all. Yeah, I really didn't like this movie, and is there a way of giving someone a middle finger of kindness and being genuinely sad about it? I guess so. A very meek, very limp, fuck you. Shelter in Solitude. I'm really bummed. 0 stars. Middle finger of kindness. I feel bad doing that because again, I really do think there was an earnest attempt to say something meaningful. I just think it got fucked into oblivion by whatever along the way. Something went wrong. And I can't even be angry about it. It's not even probably going to be that high on my list because I feel a little bit, this is going to sound really, really mean-spirited. I don't mean it to be. I feel kind of pity for this movie a little bit. It's kind of unfair that this was put in theaters at all. I think this movie should have at best been sent straight to a free streaming service with ads. I really do, or even like a Lifetime channel or something. This did not belong in a theater. It just didn't. There was nothing about this movie that was theatrical at all. I'm sorry. It's true. But I do love Saban Fallon Hogan. I hope nothing but the best for her. I heard her on Maximum Film this week. My buddy Alonzo and all the Maximum Film podcast. She's delightful and very funny. Very talented lady. I hope to see her again in something better in a lead role because I think she really does make an effort here. But man, it's just this wasn't good. So Shelter in Solitude, 0 stars, middle finger of kindness. Sadly. Let's close the book on it. Trailer trash. Let's talk some trailer trash. What Happens Later, talked about it, looks good. The Marsh King's Daughter, talked about it, looks good. The Persian Version, talked about it, looks good. Butcher's Crossing, this looked kind of bizarre. It's the new Nicolas Cage movie. Which one, Grant? He's made like 5 recent movies in the last month. Well, this is one of them. It looked okay. It's like a Western. It could be alright. You never know. The Other Zoe. Josephine Langford. You really can't take some notes from your sister? Like, okay, I like Josephine Langford. I think she really does make an effort, even though a majority of what I've seen her in has not been very good. But, like, Moxie, I loved Moxie. She was in that. So, I mean, like, it's not... She has some talent, but she needs to stop doing these freaking tween or YA things. This movie, she falls in love with a guy who, or she doesn't, she hates that There's a guy in her college. She works in a bookstore. She's a brainiac. He's more outgoing. He gets hit by a car. He loses his memory. He's convinced that because her name is Zoe and his girlfriend's name is Zoe, he's convinced that she's his girlfriend. His real girlfriend's pissed about it. Then she gets to know and befriend his family. Then his cousin comes to visit, and he's a brainiac too, and he's perfect for her, and she doesn't know how to break it to him that she's not the Zoe he's thinking of. It's just that kind of movie. I really kind of... And then you see this movie, it's like, oh, look at all these people. It's like Josephine Langford, Patrick Fabian, Andy McDowell, Heather Graham. It's like, what happened to all of you guys? Like, can't you guys be in movies that are good again? Please? You're all talented people. This really makes me sad to see y'all in this. It's a bummer. Truly a bummer. Yeah. Who knows? It could be cute. Anatomy of a Fall. Talked about it. Looks good. Was there shawarma? No, there was not. All right. That's it. We'll be back tomorrow for the things I mentioned before, VHS 85 and When Evil Lurks. And more to come also this weekend, including Fair Play, Totally Killer, and Pet Sematary Bloodlines. So that's coming up. And that'll all be next time. And until next time, I'm Grant, the movie and TV guy. I see it all, and I'm happy to share it with you. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I love you all. Class dismissed. Delivery 3000. Be kind to one another. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Comment, even if it's, I like waffles. It really helps out. Find me on my social media. Like me, follow me, all the things I usually say. And, take care of yourself, take care of your mental health. It's incredibly important. And I want to know down below, what did you think of Shelter in Solitude? Did you like the movie? Did you hate the movie? Do you think my opinion's good? Think I'm full of shit? Comment below, let me know. Until we meet again, we're all raised on popcorn. Make mine with extra butter. Catch you guys next time. Take care, everyone. Bye.